What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Deej, man. Thank y'all for joining me on Deej Sports today. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. Today, we're going to be strictly focusing on the Jaguars. So I got another video in the works that I'm going to work on. So the Jaguars, as y'all know, they have basically cleaned house. They have released a lot of their key veterans and players, especially from the 2022 free agent class. They are no longer the Jacksonville Jaguars. Have cleared a huge amount of cap space as they are gearing up for free agency. So today we're going to discuss those moves, what they've done, and we're going to talk about and give analysis as to why and break down these moves and what to expect from the Jaguars and these players' futures moving forward. So first, let's talk about So obviously yesterday, Christian Kirk, he originally was going to be released by the Jaguars, but then later on that day, we ended up trading. The Jacksonville Jaguars ended up agreeing on a deal to trade Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans, right? So a division rival. Obviously, I don't like it. Obviously he's going to a division rival when healthy. Ingram is a really good slot receiver, but to me, I think it's a win-win trade for both teams for the simple fact for Jacksonville. Look, this is a move that we knew was coming. Christian Kirk, whether he was going to be released or traded, was going to save the Jaguars over $10 million in cap space. And to people, you get mad, or, some people, we get upset sometimes when we lose certain players for nothing, or like you have a good player go out the door and we don't get nothing in return, like, you know what I'm saying? But obviously, look, the fact that we got Christian Kirk, if he were to be traded last year, right before he got injured, the Jaguars were going to trade Christian Kirk before the deadline. There was a deal in place reportedly to send him to Pittsburgh, I think for a 5th or 6th round pick. 5th round pick, I believe it was. But then he breaks his collarbone, misses the next, I think, 8 games of the season. So, it was unfortunate. And now he was stuck on the roster and we couldn't really get better draft capital at that time. Now with this new regime, he was going to be released. And the fact that we were able to get draft capital back, yes, the 7th round pick next year. It's not the best, but we got something back for him. And Houston's going to take on the rest of his salary, base salary, which is $16.5 million. And I emphasize this point a lot because I was watching CBS Sports, and former NFL player and really good player back then, Brian McFadden, who played for the Steelers and played at Florida State, he went on this kind of rant about what is Jacksonville doing? Why are they releasing all their key veterans and players? And especially he was emphasizing, why would Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're about to get this shortly, why would they release Christian Kirk? And they're trading him to a division rival. And why are we releasing Evan Ingram? And he's a really good tight end. Well, if you do actually what kind of your job, right? And I don't mean to judge and, come off this way, but, you're an analyst and you break down film, you break down moves. And if you know football well, which I'm sure you do, then you would know that one, we're getting rid of a player who when healthy, yes, is really good. But when he's not on the field, he's missed time. He's missed 14 games of the last 2 years. The last 2 years, he's ended the season on injured reserve. And the fact that we're trading him, to a division rival, but they're going to pay the rest of his salary. We don't have to worry about him anymore. And we're getting a draft pick back when we could have got more, but he got hurt last year, so it wasn't our fault. Like, it's nothing. That's good business. Like, and plus, if you look at the Jaguars' past free agents, the Houston Texans sign our old guys, like Foley Fatukasi, Shaquille Griffin, Aaron Colvin from, several years ago. The Texans always sign our old key guys who we had on our team. So, ain't nothing new. That ain't nothing new. I think there was another guy, the Jackson, that we had that he ended up going to Houston, like Dare Ogunbowale, right? That ain't nothing new. Houston always picks up our old veterans that we had that made some contributions, and then we let them go, and then they get them. So that ain't nothing new. And then when it comes, let's get to it, right? Evan Ingram. We released Evan Ingram after 3 seasons in Jacksonville. First off, I want to congratulate and thank you, Evan Ingram, for what you did in Jacksonville. I really do appreciate it because, again, players like Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, I hate to see them go because they helped really give Trevor Lawrence kind of that help him take that next step in his NFL career. Does Trevor Lawrence need to improve and get better moving forward? Yes, he absolutely does. But without Evan Ingram and without Christian Kirk, Trevor Lawrence doesn't develop those bonds that you build with your tight end and your wide receiver that we see a lot, right? So I appreciate those guys for what they did here, and I really wish them the best, and I think they will. And obviously, Houston, they get a good wide receiver in Christian Kirk. Best of luck to him. Obviously, I hope when we play him, we lock him up. And then for Evan Ingram, I think he'll have suitors. I think Evan Ingram, he's going to be 31 this year, but I think Evan Ingram has plenty left in the tank. He's coming off a shoulder injury, but he'll have suitors. I could look for, a team like the Chiefs who, right, Travis Kelce is getting up there in age. I could see that being a potential option. The Los Angeles Chargers who they need more wide receiver and tight end talent being a potential option as well. And again, I just see maybe the Seattle Seahawks, they could be a team that could use some help at their, receiving core with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett now pretty much on the way out. So, I wish them nothing but the best. So obviously we saved $10.4 million in cap space trading Kirk, and we saved $5.98 million. We also released Devin Duvernay, who we signed last year to replace Jamal Agnew. He got hurt, I think, after weeks midway through the year and only played, I think, like half of the games last year. So, when he was playing, I think he had one good return, and after that, didn't really live up to expectations what we had. So we released him. Both moves combined with Ingram and Duvernay out, $5.98 million saved. But back to my point about Brian McFadden. Also, when you look at Liam Cohen's offense, the biggest thing that Liam Cohen's offense needs when it comes to their tight end position, you need a two-way tight end. And what I mean by the two-way tight end is you need a guy who can block and a guy who can also catch the ball, who can do both. Evan Ingram, terrific receiving threat, not a good blocker. Kate Otten for the Bucks last year, he flourished last year in Liam Cohen's offense. You want to know why? Because he was able to stay on the field for the simple fact that he can block and also catch the ball. So, simply put, the reason why we cut Evan Ingram is not because Evan Ingram is a bad player. One, he's coming off an injury, and two, he does not fit the scheme. But we do have a tight end who fits the scheme in Brenton Strange, if that makes sense to you, Brian McFadden. So let me know how you feel about that. So, you got people on here getting mad and saying, why are we cutting all these players? It's a new regime. It's time to clean house. We need to get better. It need to improve. So, get better. And sorry about the pause there. I had to do something real quick. But just back to my point, if you're, you just have to understand everything and, what you have to do when it comes to the business. It's a new regime, new, system coming in. New front staff, new coaching staff. And if the players don't fit the scheme, yeah, it may incur some dead money involved, but it makes sense. This is a reasonable move. He's a veteran. He's getting older. He is 31 years old. He's coming off an injury, and he doesn't fit the scheme. That's why he got cut. Simple fact. He's not a bad player at all. Still a good player. But it's time to move in a different direction, and it's time to we have other areas of need, and another guy who's younger, way younger, and fits within the timeline of this new regime and team that is a better fit and does what those things well. Brenton Strange was developed really good as a wide receiver, as a receiving threat last year. Got really better. There's a guy who was drafted mainly to be a blocker and a tight end too. Now, I think he can be a tight end one in this league, and he certainly does. He's really good as a two-way player. He can receive, catch the ball, and also block. Fits the scheme. That's why Evan Ingram was cut. The Jaguars will incur a dead cap hit of $13.5 million, which basically the Jaguars, that's guaranteed money that the Jaguars owe Evan Ingram. So he'll still get, that's a good chunk of change that still be in his pockets from Jacksonville. But we do save $5.98 million there from cutting Duvernay and Ingram. The Jaguars also released Ronald Darby. This was a move that I knew was coming as well. This one was, the writing was on the wall once he got benched last year that he wasn't going to be back. So a guy who's also going to be, I think, 31 years old this year. And last year came in as a starting, was our number 2 corner. And the first game of the year, man, he got absolutely toasted, deep fried by the Miami Dolphins and Tyreek Hill specifically. And throughout the year, he was just getting cooked. Like, I already knew we were screwed when he got cooked the first game. And Ronald Darby, he's more of your guy who is more of now at this point in his career a backup corner. He's not a starting corner in this league. He can hold up and start for you, and it depends on the scheme. But last year, just one-on-one coverage every time. He was just unreliable. He got benched midway through the season from Monteric Brown. Monteric Brown finished as a starter. Well, obviously, too, need to upgrade corner in free agency. But, Ronald Darby, dead cap hit of $2.5+ million, but we do save $2.38 million over the cap. We saved that much there. Josh Reynolds, a guy who we brought in from waivers, claimed off waivers from the Denver Broncos. We released him, and we will save $4.26 million. So a pretty good amount of money saved there. The Jaguars, with Mitch Morse retiring yesterday, we saved $5.4 million in cap space. When you add the 5.98 plus the 2.38, the 4.26, and the 5.4, that accumulates to over 28.42, created an additional cap space. When you add that to the Jaguars' current cap space per Spotrac, $37.984 million, that gives us about roughly, and obviously there's a bunch of other factors, but according to the Jaguarwire, that's about, we have now over $63 million in cap space. Per Spotrac recently updated the site, and they probably updated it again as I'm making this video. We have $60+ million in cap space. So anywhere from $60 to $65 million in cap space. So that's telling you the Jaguars are gearing up to be active in free agency. James Gladstone made it clear they want to build in the trenches, they want to get better up front, and they want to improve this team, obviously, around Trevor Lawrence. Tony Baselli, right, new executive vice president for the Jaguars, wants to improve this team around Trevor Lawrence. He believes in Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars love Trevor Lawrence. They want to do right by Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen even said Trevor Lawrence will be involved in decisions to help improve the roster. Trevor Lawrence wants to be here. He wants to, win in Jacksonville, and this new regime is committed to building a winning, capable roster for Trevor Lawrence. It's now time for Trevor Lawrence. Yes, you got to hold him accountable. He's got to go out there and prove himself. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to play better, right? No doubt about it. I'm not denying that at all. But the Jaguars are finally, I feel like this is the best coaching staff we had in a while, in a long time. And I think bringing in these guys from Tampa and like a James Gladstone from the Rams, seeing them draft so well over the last decade, specifically in later rounds. This was a team that didn't even have first round picks for almost 10 years. They finally get a first round pick, and two of their top draft picks from last year were defensive player of the year candidates. That's what we need. We need people in the building who come from that, organizations who can really build a roster, and that's what Jacksonville has missed. Especially, having Trent Baalke, unfortunately, these last few years. Now we can take best players available, no matter what position they are. Anywhere where we can improve this team to get better, that's what we'll do. So, again, it's sad, too. It's kind of the end of an era, right? Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones from 2021, but obviously the only guy left from, I think, our free agent 2022 class is Foye Oluokun, and he ain't going nowhere. That is a really good player that the Jaguars, we sent him last year. He is a mainstay in our defense. He is important, one of the best and underrated linebackers in the game. Foley Fatukasi is also out as well. He left last year, got cut last year, so it's unfortunate. A team players that helped us get us back on track, and that year was just so special, man. And if Jamal Agnew doesn't fumble inside the 5-yard line, man, who knows, man? We would have beat the Chiefs that year. We were close. We were close to getting potentially sniffing another AFC title appearance. Apologies, another pause there, but just kind of backtracking here. Just look, we got a lot of moves that we need to make. Got to improve in free agency, and that's just I feel like this new regime. I think James Gladstone, they're making an emphasis. All right. We appreciate these players, but it's time to move in a different direction and build this team on their terms, right? And improve the roster. So I'm looking forward, and I can't wait for free agency next week. Can't wait to see what the Jaguars are doing. Quick note, Jonathan Allen from the Washington Commanders, after it looks like they couldn't come to terms on a trade, he has been released. They are going to release him, and he will hit the open market. So one of the top defensive tackles will be available when healthy. Jonathan Allen's one of the best interior defensive tackles in the game. So just a quick breaker there. Terrell Bernard for the Bills, linebacker who has taken over as a full-time starter the last 2 years, gets a 4-year, $50 million extension. So congratulations to him. Buffalo's keeping a key piece on their defense for the long term. And got the next video coming out where we'll talk about, now with the Jaguars clearing a bunch of cap space, getting rid of a lot of veterans, and now clearing the cap space and getting that $63+ million in cap space, potential free agents that we'll look to bring in to improve the team. So that video will be next. Thank you guys for joining me in this video today. Y'all stay blessed, man. Peace out.